In the new public policy polling survey on the presidential race, there's a fact buried in there about gun reform that I want to share with you guys because it's very telling. So they say the following, quote, as conservative as the GOP electorate is in this poll, 78% of Republican primary voters support requiring criminal background checks on all firearm purchases, to only 14% who oppose them, and 49% support increasing the federal minimum wage to at least $10 an hour, to just 26% who want to keep it where it is, and just 21% who want to eliminate it altogether. So, what I need people to understand is that this isn't really an anomaly. Most Republicans not only are in favor of background checks and are in favor of raising the minimum wage, they also don't want to cut Medicare. They don't want to cut Social Security. And in fact, according to a June 2014 Quinnipiac poll, quote, 92% of voters, including 92% of gun owners and 86% of Republicans, support background checks prior to all gun sales, and 74% of NRA members support universal background checks. So, there are many issues where I think the Republicans are not only wrong, but they're disastrously wrong, and they're fact deniers to the point where I want to pull my hair out that they don't agree with us. But on some issues, their gut feeling is actually right, and it actually agrees with the Democrats. So, who do you blame for this? You know who I blame for this? The Democrats. Because when you look at gun reform, it's not an issue that's like other issues, in the sense that if you look at financial regulation, for example, you have the Democratic Party and the Republican Party both taking tremendous amounts of money from big banks and from financial institutions, so they both have an incentive to be really shitty on that and to be in favor of deregulation and in favor of tax subsidies and giveaways to the rich and stuff like that. So you can see a perverse incentive on both sides, and it helps to explain why we don't, for example, have Glass-Steagall back in place right now like we should. But when you look at background checks for gun purchases, it's pretty much only the Republican Party, with just a handful of Democrats, that take money from gun manufacturers. So the overwhelming majority of elected Democrats don't have a bad financial incentive or a conflict of interest on this. So I take them at their word when they say, hey, I wish we had some sort of gun reform. But why is it that we don't have it, even though, again, they're not secretly taking money from the leadership of the NRA or from gun manufacturers? So why haven't we gotten it? Even when the Democrats had a supermajority, we didn't get it. Why is that? The only explanation is that they're weak. Now, again, I want to be clear about something. The people of the NRA are on the page of background checks. But it's the leadership that's against any gun regulation, including background checks, because it's the leadership of the NRA that takes money from the gun manufacturers. They give it to the Republicans. They give it to them knowing, hey, we're giving you this money, and there's a silent agreement here. You'll block any and all gun reform because it might cut into our profits, and we want to sell as many guns as possible. So you can't ban anything. Can't ban high-capacity magazines, can't ban assault weapons, can't do universal background checks, because then we'll make less money. So the Republicans have blocked any attempt the Democrats have done at gun reform. But the Democrats only tried once after Sandy Hook. That's it. They just tried once. And then they went home. That's the problem, guys. It's that the Democrats, even when they care about an issue, and even when they have the overwhelming majority of the country behind them, over 90% of the country is behind them on the issue of background checks. Not only do they not win when it comes to policy, they don't even win politically. So if you're the leadership of the Democrats, on this issue alone, you can win in the next 2 or 3 election cycles. You know what you do when you have 92% of the American public on your side? You go on all the Sunday shows, you go on MSNBC, you go on Fox News into the Lion's Den, you go on CNN, you go all throughout the media, and you all hammer home the same message. The Republican Party is blocking what 92% of the American people want. That is fascism. That is tyrannical. That is a Republican dictatorship. They're ignoring what 92% of the American people want. That's crazy. You need to go and vote against them and let them know you will not stand for it. Your voice will be heard. If they fought, if they argued, if they made an issue out of it, if they kept hammering that point home, they would win in a landslide. In not only the next election, but the election after that. But they don't do it. Stop and think about this. The Republicans proposed repealing Obamacare 54 times. This is at the same time that we have a Democratic president who's guaranteed to fucking veto it. Guaranteed to veto it. Even if it somehow got through the Senate, which it wouldn't, he would veto it. So why is it that even when they know they're going to lose, the Republicans can propose a repeal of Obamacare 54 times? Meanwhile, when the Democrats were on the verge of winning on the issue of background checks, they only proposed the bill once. And then they lost and went home. They weren't outraged. They didn't scream back at Mitch McConnell. They didn't call the Republicans fascists. They didn't take this to the media. They didn't garner up more outrage. Children had just gotten slaughtered at Sandy Hook. Mitch McConnell blocked this and filibustered it. The Democrats said, whoops, I guess we lost, and they went home. They suck at policy. They suck at politics. This is an area where they're not even bought off. This isn't even an area where the Democrats are corrupt. Their sentiment is correct. The policies they want are correct, but they lose once and they give up. So I blame the Democrats across the board on this. You know, when you have the majority of Republican voters with you, a majority of NRA members with you, a majority of the country with you, and children just got slaughtered, and we keep seeing mass shootings time and time again, and you have an insane Republican Party that's blocking everything, you should look at this as an opportunity. You shouldn't be scared. You shouldn't run away from it. You should say, oh, thank you for handing over the next 6 elections to me, you fucking morons. Really? A universal background check you're going to block when 40% of guns are purchased in America through the gun show loophole, which means there's no background check. Somebody could be severely depressed, schizophrenic, bipolar, have 3 former felonies. They go buy a gun. No problem whatsoever. You're going to block that? Well, then I will own you in the next few elections, and I dare you to keep doing this. But that's the problem with the Democrats. Even when they're right on policy, on the politics, they're pathetically wrong and terrible.